Namaste, all my beautiful people. How are you doing today? Welcome to the alternate point of view. My name is Tracy Lee. I just want to say welcome back to everyone who's been watching this channel and welcome to anyone who is new. Please like, subscribe, and share this channel. I'm not sure if you all are aware, but this channel is not monetized. I don't make any money on this channel. I literally just do it because I love doing this channel, and everyone who likes, subscribes, and shares really helps the channel's algorithm, and it really keeps me motivated to continue to make videos as much as I can. So please continue to leave the comments. I love all the interaction that we are getting, and I love all the comments. It's really great. And one day I would like to do just a chat with you guys. If that's what would be something you'd enjoy, it would be great. So let's get into this Christopher McGregor, poor Corey Michelow trial. This trial, as I've stated so many times before, is such a farce. I mean, what a joke this trial is going on as long as it's been going. And today, once again, they had trial. Yesterday, they had a court session without the jury, but they talked about jury instruction. They talked about what are the plans for the rest of the week, what kind of testimony they were going to have, what kind of witnesses they were going to have. Sorry, let me adjust this camera just a little bit. Okay, thank you. Sorry. They talked about, the lag in the trial. And again, I feel like this is just really like a waste of time for the jurors. I mean, you guys tell me, how would you feel if you were a juror and you're just kind of being dragged into court for a couple of hours and then woof, gone home? And again, in this day and age with social media, it's virtually impossible to not hear anything about this trial. And I saw his parents in court today, so I'm finding it very hard to believe that his parents have not seen this treadmill video at this point in time and juncture. I mean, my God, the treadmill video has been out and it's all over the place. So how can they have not seen it? But they did talk about yesterday, what they we're going to do about the jury instructions. They discussed Dr. Botnick that was going to come on the stand probably Friday. I don't believe they're going to have any witnesses tomorrow, which is another day that the jury will not be there. It looks like they're going to have some witnesses on Friday, but they're trying to make it a short day if possible because it's a holiday weekend, of course. So they're going to be out Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So today, they only had one witness, and this is, I believe, the last prosecution witness, and this witness is a pediatrician. This is the witness that they have been waiting for, I believe, to come from Europe. I believe this is the witness. I'm not positive, but she is a pediatrician. She was sworn in as an expert witness. She's never been an expert witness in a trial before. She did not tend to Corey at all. She's never seen Corey. She's never met Corey. She doesn't know anything about Corey. All she has done is what basically Dr. Botnick has done, and that is look through the reports from the hospitals and from the other doctors and looked through the autopsy reports. She's never done an autopsy. She even said on the stand that she couldn't tell you how to do CPR on a child right now, even though she is a pediatrician. It's kind of odd that she was made an expert witness, and granted, she is a pediatrician, so I'm sure she's an expert at it being a pediatrician, and that's great and wonderful, but she is paid for by the prosecution, so of course she is, being paid to tell what she sees in this paperwork, but I don't think that she was very helpful to the prosecution. She basically was just reading what she saw on this paperwork. I don't think she was as impactful as the actual ME who did the actual autopsy. And I think if they had ended on the ME who did the autopsy, who actually said that Corey Michelow actually died of blunt force trauma to the liver and the heart, and he had lacerations on these vital organs in his body, that is what contributed to his death, that would have been a strong ending for the prosecution. Now, again, as we all know, that this treadmill video is in and ingrained and burned in the jurors' brains. That is all they see. But if you had the treadmill video, okay, and then you had the ME get on the stand and close it out with, he had these lacerations on his vital organs, his heart, his liver. When he went to the hospital with the mother, all of his vital signs were perfectly normal. Everything, his blood count was perfectly normal. Everything was fine. He didn't have a fever. He didn't have, his oxygen levels were normal. Everything was normal. And then you bring on the stand, right, the ME and the emergency room doctors from when the dad took him to the hospital, right? And they say his white blood count was elevated. And it's elevated due to stress being done to the body. Okay. And you can seal that. They should have buttoned it up a little nicer. Okay. So I'm just saying they could have done it and been more strategic in how they laid out their case. So instead of bringing up a pediatrician who has absolutely nothing to do with Corey and absolutely nothing to do with this case, and who really got decimated by the defense attorney because that's his job, I think they could have done without that. And that was money that they didn't need to spend because they already had the ME who did the autopsy, who at first said that the death was undetermined because they really couldn't figure out like what the heck happened to this kid in a span of, a few hours. Also, because sepsis was mentioned in the first autopsy, because of the internal, obviously, damage done to Corey's body, the lacerations and all that stuff, and he was sitting. Sepsis takes up to 12 hours to take over the body, but because Christopher didn't take him to the hospital for hours, and there's no telling when he started beating this child, after his mother dropped him off at 9 o'clock in the morning, he could have been beating him from the time he got home until that picture was taken after 2 in the afternoon when he was passed out. We don't know. And then he didn't take him to the hospital until nearly 5 o'clock. So for all we know, he could have been internally bleeding all that time. So it's a who knows situation. But what we do know is that Corey Michelow suffered some blunt force trauma to his body, to his vital organs. And I don't know if you know, but you can suffer blunt force trauma to your body and the bruises won't show up immediately. Those things may not show up for a while. So he could have internal bleeding in his body. And clearly there were lacerations to his organs, and they didn't know that until they opened him up for the autopsy. So I think the prosecution has a very good case against Christopher, but they could have done it in a neater, more planned way. You have the mother who testified of their custody battle, right? And of course, she testified of what she was, her things that she was at fault for, that she did wrong. Okay, that's out of the way. They had the child protective people up there, social workers, whatever, testify, what their steps were, what their thought process was of, why in the holy crap did they give the dad custody, right? You have all of these steps you take, but they could have been a little neater, a little cleaner in their delivery. I just believe that if they had the doctors from the first hospital say, that everything was fine, everything was normal. He had bruising, yes, in different stages of bruising, right? Different stages of healing, okay? But everything was fine. All of his x-rays were fine. All of his CT scans were fine. There were no lacerations on any of these bodily organs. When they checked him, he was fine. And he was able to go home. And you hear in the testimony that Christopher is being a total jerk to the mother, saying, well, I'm deducting 2 hours of your time from your next visit because you're late bringing him home, because she's at the hospital with her son. So you can see that he is not a good person. He's not nice. So instead of really, really hitting home what a vindictive person he is by doing and taking the actions he's taking, they really didn't take advantage of a lot of things. That treadmill video, without that treadmill video, which is sad because that is a very prejudicial video. It does show his pattern, but they didn't need that video to show his pattern. They needed the video, obviously, because he has been accused of child abuse. But they could have really, really taken this case a lot farther and a lot better just based on the way he would control the situation, manipulate the situation by saying, I'm taking 2 hours time away from you the next time. I mean, there's a trail of messages from Brianna's phone. There's a trail of things, that he has done and said. He's been arrested. He has a record. And again, I think that the medical records speak for themselves. You have a trail of medical records from different emergency room doctors stating that he was fine. He got transferred to another hospital, and they're really the defense is hanging their hat on this whole, she took him out of this hospital against medical advice to the other hospital. Okay, you're hanging your hat on this, but she didn't take him against medical advice home. She took him to the hospital herself. She just didn't want the ambulance bill. Who wants an ambulance bill? No one wants an ambulance bill. We all know that is a fortune. So she chose to take him on her own. It wasn't that she wasn't going to get him care. So they're trying to make it sound like she took him out of this hospital. They didn't have the means to care for Corey at that hospital. So they suggested a different hospital. So that is why they said against medical advice as far as taking him by ambulance. So she chose to take him on her own. So the defense is really hanging their hat on that. The defense is really hanging their hat on a lot of things, which is really not going to get them anywhere. But I think that the prosecution could have really just hung their hat on the whole, the hospital said this is the record. It's on the record that nothing was wrong with Corey when they went to the hospital. All of his blood work, all of his scans, everything was perfectly normal. No signs of pneumonia, no signs of illness, no signs of anything, no signs of any internal anything. He was perfectly fine. He had bruising. You could see the marks on his body in different stages of healing, and that is what they could see. And then you have literally the same day, his father take him to an emergency room, and then the child dies and the father runs away. That is not suspicious at all. Come on, people. So then you have the medical examiner get up there and say that he clearly suffered blunt force trauma and has lacerations on major organs inside his body. So that does not happen like by itself. So they could have just ended it there. That's what we're going to end it there. And then you have the defense who's going to come up with Dr. Botnick, who, by the way, I am questioning his morals, actually, because Dr. Botnick is very well known in the industry and he's very highly respected. But this is the same Dr. Botnick who is, going to be with the defense for this case. And he's also he's been on the defensive side for quite several cases. And, he costs money. He's very expensive. And I'm pretty sure that, Christopher's parents are probably paying for Dr. Botnick. I'm pretty sure Christopher's parents are paying for all of this. They're doing what they always do, and that's get Christopher out of a lot of trouble. I'd be interested to know what Christopher was like as a child. Like, did he hurt animals? Did he do things that his parents have covered up for a long time? Because I really, really wonder what this person must have been like in the past. I wonder if he has other girlfriends that he's treated poorly. I wonder if he has other, I don't know, other charges against child abuse. Maybe that we don't know about. I just think that this Christopher person is not, you know, I know he's had other charges, but I'm just curious as to what he has been doing his entire life to kind of stay under the radar, as far as, you know, not just a pot charge or, you know, stuff like that. I want to know, what has he been doing his whole life? And I feel like, you know, he did know about Brianna's pregnancy, but because he was an adult and she was a teenager, I think he just kind of skedaddled out of there because he didn't want to get hit with, you know, impregnating a minor. So I am curious to know what his upbringing was like, because like I said, I feel like his father is very cold and very black and white, because obviously he was a police officer. It's very hard in the criminal justice world to see the gray area. You only see things based on the law and the way things are written, and this is how it's supposed to be done, and it's just A, B, C, D. You know, there's no other way to see anything any other way. So, but for Christopher, I feel like they're making a lot of exceptions for him. And, you know, I can tell you this, when I worked in loss prevention, I caught a lot of cops' kids stealing. I would catch a lot of cops' kids stealing. And it's embarrassing for those cops. It's embarrassing. I actually, on the First 48 show, Birmingham, Alabama police officers were on that show. And I actually caught a couple of those detectives' kids stealing. And that was pretty embarrassing for them, because, you know, they're detectives in the Birmingham Police Department. And here their daughters are stealing, and I catch them. And I will tell you one thing, though. I never caught a loss prevention person's kid stealing. I'm not saying that they don't, but my son knew that he would be beat this way upside down to Sunday if he if he was ever caught doing anything like that. Because, I mean, no. But cops' kids, you would think, preachers' kids and cops' kids, y'all, those were the number one. But you know, this is something that I'm wondering, like, when you're raised by a cop, or you know, your first instinct is to be rebellious, because you think you're like, oh, my dad's a cop, he'll be able to get me out of it, you know. So I'm just curious as to what else they have gotten him out of in the past, you know? So, again, I think that the jury's time is being wasted. I think that they are able to see things, even though they're telling the judge no. I don't think that's possible. I really think it's virtually impossible. And I think it's going to come out later when they hand down this guilty verdict, because I think they are going to hand down a guilty verdict, that there is going to be an appeal, because some juror is going to talk later and go, well, I heard this, or we talked about this, or, well, my wife said, you know, it's going to come out, and then, you know, something's going to happen, and Corey is not going to get the proper justice, because this case is a circus. I feel like poor Corey is getting lost in all of this, just like all cases, the victim gets lost in all of this. And I think it's really sad. I do believe, again, and you guys can chime in if you want to, but I think bringing this woman, this pediatrician, on the stand was a mistake. I think she highlighted a couple of things, but I don't think it was enough to make an impact for the prosecution. I think the prosecution should have rested on the medical examiner and been done with it. And I think it would have been much more impactful just to hear the facts and not have some other person come in and just read the medical information, and someone who has not met Corey, has not met Christopher, has not met anything. Now, if they wanted to have a psychologist or psychiatrist get up there and maybe explain some of Christopher's behavior, that may have helped a little. But to have another doctor come up who doesn't know Corey and doesn't know any of his medical history, doesn't know anything but reading exactly what the autopsy says, is kind of pointless to me. You have the medical examiner. You have the person who actually touched, saw, you know, did the exam, and this person, you know, was there. So to have someone else come in and read over the files and then tell you something, that to me is not proper information. So you guys let me know what you think. I think this trial is going to go into next week, obviously, because we have a holiday weekend. They're doing some sort of construction outside the courthouse or something. I don't know what they're doing. It just seems like what a waste of time for this jury. So we shall see. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. I will recap the Karen Reed trial as well. I'm finishing watching that trial today. There's a half day tomorrow. I don't know if they're going to meet on Friday because it is a holiday weekend. But that trial is getting, woo, y'all, spicy. And then I'm going to do just some special videos, some more tragedy geared videos on some topics that are different from trial. And you guys let me know what you want to hear about. Please leave in the comments if there's anything you want me to cover, old, new, whatever you want me to talk about. Let me know. I want to hear it. And I will do my research and find out what you guys want to hear about. So I appreciate you watching. Please, again, like, subscribe, and share. Again, as I said, over 70% of the people who view this channel do not subscribe to this channel. And I really appreciate it if you would. I am not monetized. I don't make any money on this channel. So I literally just do it because it's fun to do. And I really enjoy doing crime and tragedy. It's a lot of fun. And I love all the comments. I love interacting with you guys because basically I'm stuck at home because I am not in the best of health. So this is something that I get to do and interact with people on the outside of my four walls of my house. So I thank you all very much. I appreciate you. And what can your Korean facts of the day be today? Let's see. Today I learned a Korean fact from someone who does Korean things on TikTok. And he says that Koreans don't gamble. It's actually against the law for Koreans to gamble. So they do have casinos in South Korea, in hotels, but those are for foreigners, not for Koreans. Koreans can't gamble. You actually have to have a passport to gamble in Korea. And there is not gambling for Koreans. However, he did say that they do have one casino for Koreans, and it's run by the government, and that it is so boring that it makes Koreans not want to gamble. But let me tell you this. Now, when you go to a casino here in America, you see Asians everywhere. I don't know if they're Korean or not, but there's Asians all over the casinos in America. So anyway, that is your Korean fact for the day that I learned off. I will find out his name on TikTok. It was pretty interesting to know, but yes. And I don't know if I'm totally caught up on Korean facts, but here's another fun Korean fact for you. In Korea, because parents, I don't know if I've done this one already, but because parents and kids live together basically until kids go off and get married. In South Korea, it is not uncommon to have what they call love hotels because you can't get away. You can't get away from your parents. You can't get away from your kids, and you're always in the same house together. So love hotels are a thing if you want to have private time. So yes, it is totally okay and acceptable to get a room for a couple of hours or whatever. Not like in America, where if you get a room for a couple of hours, that's like, you done paid that person. No, over there it's totally normal because you have to have alone time. You can't be in the house with your kids or your parents all the time. So yeah, totally common. But anyway, thank you so much. Let me know, please, what you think about this trial. Let me know if you think this is going to cause a retrial, if it's going to go to the appeals court, if you think this jury is tainted, if you think that the prosecution has lost this case because of, you know, the missteps that they're making with their witnesses and the just the utter slowness. Like, this trial could have been over like 2 weeks ago. So yeah, and let me know what you want to talk about, what you want to hear about. What story do you want me to cover? I will take your suggestions. I would love that. And I thank you so much again. 감사합니다. I appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next video.